Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Solo ReacTalk. This morning, I'm going to be reacting to two videos requested by, Helldrake7777. He has requested that I should react to Rejecting Change, Honor Over Submission, Warhammer 40k Lore Exploration, made on the Dasrat YouTube channel. If you guys want to check out my previous reaction to Dasrat's Doom Faith Humanity, a Warhammer 40k fan-made content. Yes, let me say that. Remember that the playlist link is going to be at the top right here. And if you guys want to check out the original video as well as Dasrat's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. And then the second video, which will come after this one, is called Homebrew of the Week, episode 284, Drakken Harbingers, made on the 40k Theories YouTube channel. Yes, that will be next after this video. Okay, let's start. 3, 2, 1, go.
Здравейте, драги зрители!
What? Hold on. Let's go back. I need to understand what he said there.
I was recently illuminated. Здравейте, драги...
Okay. How do you... No, I don't wanna butcher the pronunciation, so I'm just going to go on Google. I'm just going to Google. Google, help me. Okay, all right. Hello, dear viewers, in Bulgarian. Okay. Okay, so how do I respond back to you now?
Hello. Здравейте.
Здравейте, that's right. Здравейте. Okay, let us continue. Yeah, Google helps, guys. Google helps a lot.
Зрители. I was recently illuminated with the realization that just bursting through someone's wall and dispensing random mineral goods may be considered uncouth.
You don't say. You don't say.
Thus, I have decided to rectify this. While it is a sublime thing to unearth raw gems and precious things from the depths of the lore, like all mineral wealth, they become better when modeled and combined into tools, trinkets, or confections of fancy. And what better fancy than satisfying itches? Among the length and breadth of Warhammer 40k and other planes of entertainment exist countless fascinating tales, but oftentimes you encounter a premise, a nugget, a detail that gets naught but a mention. A peculiarity that piques your interest but never surfaces again. I intend to remedy this injustice, per your preference, as thanks for the hospitality of inhabiting your walls. As an example, I have brought this 3-course sample. When the Primarch Marines were introduced, not all chapters accepted them, but that detail has been severely underexplored. Overall, their introduction was hastily narratively swept by. As usual, Gabriel Seth does not disappoint, but the overwhelming amount of content that even touched on the introduction as a whole was predominantly of them being accepted either into already surviving chapters or as fully new ones of their own.
And you know, this is Warhammer 40k. There has to be some sort of conflict. There has to be some sort of problem. There can't be happy endings. There's no such thing in Warhammer 40k. We don't have happy endings in the dark future, What is it? The far future? I forgot the saying. Oh gosh. But yes, we don't have happy endings in the far future, guys. In the dark far future. We don't have happy endings. So definitely, the Primarch Marines, yes, they are a step above the version 1 of the Astartes. And you would expect there to be some sort of political ramifications from the creation of the Primarch Marines. You would expect there to be some sort of problems, animosity, jealousy, maybe, and the fact that these are the Astartes that are going to replace them in time. So yes, you would expect there to be some sort of conflict happening. This is Warhammer 40k. There's no such thing as peace. There must be blood.
While I, personally, craved more exploration of their rejection, in the various possible forms it could take, beyond the few offhanded remarks in the background. Alas, since most of the drama involving this setting-shaking development was simply swept off, it was exceptionally dissatisfying. Hence why I have used the riches I have dug up to craft this video's narrative. From hence on, however, I do look forward to hearing what you would like to see narratively explored in the lore. Any particular aspects of it, a specific situation left unexpanded, a modification of an existing premise, or a crossing of paths with other universes. Feel free to share your wants and desires, and I will do my best to bring them forth within reason. For now, I give you a justified rejection of change. Enjoy.
A justified rejection of change. Justified. To whose point of view is this justified?
Years have now gone by since our awakening, rumbled the thoughts of Captain Lauzar as he beheld
Captain Lauzar. Okay.
the rise of the titanic plates that shielded the viewports of their transport, signaling their successful translation out of the warp. In that moment, he viewed them with utmost reverence, as he did not want to know if the churning tides of the Empyrean were as tumultuous as the feelings within his soul. When Lord Gilliman sent their founding out into the galaxy, his hearts were swelling with joy to be able to serve the Imperium and, more importantly, the Emperor. No words among the height or the numberless lows of Gothic existed that could describe the thunderous ambitions surging through their brotherhood. In their time between battle and training, all of them would study their progenitor chapter, the Drakken Harbingers.
Hey, that's the name of the chapter that's been spoken in Homebrew of the Week 284. Drakken Harbingers, made on the 40k theories. Oh, okay, alright.
Astonished admiration was the least Lauzar could experience after absorbing the information of every event, every campaign, every victory, and every sacrifice.
So, Captain Lauzar is a Primaris Marine, I think. Alright, let me just write it down here.
Recorded in their storied service. Until now, he and his brothers had, as far as the commanders around them had confirmed, done their best and served admirably in a score of campaigns alongside their founding's cousins, liberating worlds, obliterating enemies, and many more feats were added to their own story. By now, their 3 companies had remained the last Primaris force aboard their Custodes escorts ship. Although slightly saddened to part ways with their former Grey Shield brethren, Lauzar and his men were glad that their cousins rejoined their own elder brothers, helping them rebuild and strengthen their chapters. He and many of his number also found solace in the knowledge that they would eventually find their own home and, perhaps, would encounter their former comrades in arms on future battlefields. Despite their list of accomplishments being significantly shorter than that of a chapter that had been fending off the enemies of mankind for millennia, the captain hoped that their exemplary dedication to the Codex Astartes, the service they had rendered, and bonds they had built with various cousin chapters would make the Drakken proud to bring their younger brothers into their fold.
I don't know who's the gene sire of the Drakken Harbingers. And I don't know really about the chapter per se, but there's no assurity that they actually follow the Codex Astartes to the letter. You know, some of these chapters, they kind of bend it here and there, or they even break it outright and do as they please. And sometimes the Imperium of Man turns a blind eye as long as they do the job, as long as they complete the mission, as long as they, perform well for the Imperium of Man. politicians are prepared to turn a blind eye. The High Lords of Terra or whoever else it may be, they're prepared to turn a blind eye as long as that chapter does the job. You know, so there are some chapters that do follow the Codex Astartes to the letter, and there's also some that don't. They kind of bend it, and then there are those that completely break it. So yeah, we don't know about these Drakken Harbingers if they're really going to be, you know, exemplary Codex Astartes followers. Yeah.
To prove themselves worthy of this honor was all he wished. Even discarding the fairly selfish thought that the Harbingers would be thankful to receive reinforcements numbering close to their current number of remaining Astartes, after the debilitating casualties they had suffered at the so-called Gonara Breach incident that took place at the time of the Great Rift's opening. However, by now a deep sense of unease had begun to fester in his heart instead. A massed missive explaining their existence was sent out to the chapters whose blood comprised Lauzar's Grey Host when the reinforcement fleet set off. That is how most of their number were able to find their brothers as they coordinated their meeting. A few chapters themselves actually sought out the reinforcement fleet, but nothing of the sort happened for Hiskin, hence them remaining as the last unclaimed warriors. Initially it was presumed that the message had simply not been received, though confusion would rise as the Drakken Harbingers' whereabouts slowly became harder to discover, necessitating going through reports and even rumors of sightings in order to track them down. The first time they believed they had found them, their ship, apparently, arrived a couple of days late, as nothing but the fleeting warp signatures of the Draconic fleet remained. Normally, that may have disheartened the young warriors who had finally donned the colors of their parent chapter, were it not for the debris field of gutted vessels above an agri-world. Its denizens informed the convoy that Vulcan's sons had saved them from an invasion of piratical forces.
Oh, okay, so they are Vulcan's descendants, if I can say that. Okay, alright.
Even when reduced to under half their strength, they still do not cease their crusading, Lauzar thought with burning admiration at the time. Said sensation would not last long. Thanks to the superior vessel of the Emperor's talents, they were able to keep a good pace with the rushing fleet. Another opportunity would come about after suffering some turbulent warp currents a month later. This time, the Drakken's fleet would actually be visible, striding through the space-borne butchered remains of what was estimated to be a small splinter tendril of Tyranids. Darkening the...
Man, these guys are good. The Drakken Harbingers, wow. They're just going from one mission to the next mission, destroying the enemy and then leaving. They don't have time to waste, they don't have time to wait and recuperate. No, they're on another mission.
Warp with their hive mind's shadow was likely what caused the unusual currents they had sailed through. Some lingering remains of said influence would have been attributed to the fleet not noticing them and missing their hail before translating out of the system, were it not for a stray astropathic thought that was detected by the reinforcing vessel's own choir. "My lord, what shall we Now his inner storm was on the rise, as past the lifted plates lay his brother's fleet, docked at a space station. As their ship approached, all of the ships began undocking, nearly bringing a grimace to his visage.
Man, they really are in a rush. They are in a rush. They probably got another mission. They're like, okay, let's pack it up, let's leave.
Nothing of the sort would happen, as this time it was not he, but the Custodes escorting them that hailed the immense flagship of the Draconic fleet.
Astartes fleet, I am Golarion of the Adeptus Custodes.
Golarion of the Adeptus Custodes. Oi! Love it. Okay.
And I am low on patience. You will halt all of your activity and rendezvous with us. Now.
It's not a request. It's not a request. It's an order. Now.
Microscopic heartbeats later, to the surprise of some, an answer was patched through.
Compliance.
Good, Astartes. Good.
Was that it? Lauzar pondered. A reprieve from his inner storm graced him after the moment of confusion passed. Pointless worry over a misunderstanding. Such was the trajectory of his thoughts as their vessel finally approached the colossal flagship and docked with it. Certitude and exhilaration would continue to swell as their host disembarked and he followed the custodian deeper into the vessel, until they were met by what he recognized as an Inquisitor and a firstborn Astartes in ornate armor, whose ashen features carried a familial likeness to his own.
Lord,
The Marine addressed Kolarian and bowed his head.
I am Victor Draketalon, Praetor of the Drakken Harbingers.
Hold on. Victor Drake Talon. Okay. Praetor. What is a Praetor? I don't think I've heard of that designation in a chapter. Okay.
It is a privilege and an honor to have your hallowed presence within the Venganza.
The ship's name is Venganza. Okay.
It struck the Primaris how calm his senior could remain, especially in the presence of one of the Emperor's talents. So much so that he nearly missed the mortal's own introduction.
Inquisitor Samuel Ogg of the Ordo Hereticus, head of the Inquisition.
Samuel Ogg, Auge. Wait, let me just double check, guys. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just need to double check.
Nearly missed the mortal's own introduction.
Inquisitor.
Yes, okay. Auge, Inquisitor of the Ordo Hereticus. So, why is this Inquisitor here? Ordo Hereticus, I mean, what are you investigating the Drakken Harbingers? Or what? Or maybe the Inquisitor is using the services of the Drakken Harbingers. Probably, yeah.
Samuel Ogg of the Ordo Hereticus, head of the inquisitorial delegation accompanying the chapter, for the purpose of documenting and subduing any anomalies encountered as a result of the rift's opening.
You may handle your own introduction.
Kolarian casually uttered, using nothing but his tone to nudge the younger Marine to take the floor.
You know, the custodian is like a parent, bringing the children to school, you know, and the children are nervous or they're excited, and the custodian's like, come on, introduce yourself to your teacher. Oh man, this is so cute. In a weird way, it's kind of cute for me, because I like the custodians, and yeah, they're like parents, really, compared to the Astartes. They are like the responsible parents. They're bigger, they're taller, they're much more powerful than the Astartes. So yeah, I see them as being the parents, and then the Astartes as the little children. Yeah.
Nearly beaming with confidence, the Astartes took a step forward and clanked his fist over his chest. I am Captain Lauzar, appointed to lead and represent the 3 companies of Primaris reinforcements to the Drakken Harbingers by the will of the Lord Regent. It is our utmost honor to finally unite with our brothers, my Praetor. In stark contrast to his jubilation, Victor remained unflinchingly stone-like, and did not take his eyes off of Kolarian for even a sliver of a moment. A brief, awkward quiet stifled the positive atmosphere until the senior Marine questioned the custodian.
It is a surprising gesture. We had not made a request for reinforcements.
Surprise? The captain uttered, almost as if describing his own state of mind. A mass missive of great import was sent out to all chapters our host was meant to supplement. Had it been lost or interfered with by the rift? His final words, as well as his features, were turned towards the Golden Warrior.
But, look, even if you did not request for the Primaris Marines to, come into your ranks, it's still a welcome resource. in my eyes. You know, if I was a chapter master, I'd be like, yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Come. We need everybody. We need more people. It's fine. But it seems with this Praetor, he's not interested in the Primaris Marines. He's not interested in having more Astartes under his banner. Very strange. And he's looking dead straight at the Astartes, at the Custodian. You got some balls, man. You got some serious balls.
We received no important message.
Drake Talon stated matter-of-factly. All of them seemed to be crushed underneath the gaze of Kolarian as he elected to speak as well.
That would explain why we had to spend additional time tracking you down and chasing after you.
Despite the minuscule provocation, no change came to the Harbinger's visage. The same cold look in his eyes did not break contact with the Talon's own. Lauzar suspected that this may have caused an eyebrow to be raised underneath his helmet, which was followed by his next inquiry.
Is something the matter, Astartes?
Nothing, Lord. I merely lament that your time was wasted.
Came the ever-even
Okay.
response. Two walls, closing on them in a suffocating manner, was the best way he could describe the exchange. Suddenly cutting through the thick air, the custodian turned to Og.
Inquisitor, do you have anything to report?
Mildly startled, apparently, the mortal was briefly taken aback by the question, before regaining his composure and answering.
Thus far, we have only encountered Xenos threats, sire. Piratical elements and small Tyranid splinters, all of which acted rather disjointedly. It would seem that the rift's opening has maligned them as nearly as much as us.
And of internal matters?
None. The Praetor and his brother's record of service is as pristine as ever, as far as the Ordo Hereticus is concerned.
Such levels of
Wait, so is Praetor the rank of chapter master? They just call it a Praetor.
scrutiny were not something that Lauzar expected to encounter here, but even he had to admit that the entire exchange was unnervingly unusual.
Understood. Then my duty here is done. All of your Primaris Marines and the technology needed to produce them will be fully transferred to your custody within the hour. Use them well, and continue your service to the Emperor.
By your command and his will.
Victor finished with another bow, which was replicated by the Inquisitor.
I don't like your tone, Victor. I don't like your tone.
Like a setting sun, Kolarian's departure only allowed the cold to sink its claws into the captain. A freeze tensing when Drake Talon's voice finally found him.
You, marshal your men and have them assemble in the main hall of the Venganza.
He then turned to leave. Steeling himself in spite of everything, Lauzar would take the initiative of retaining the attention he had been given as he tried to follow. What stations do you wish us to man, Lord Praetor?
None.
Victor sharply cut off, then clarified.
None of you will do anything until you are tested.
Unexpected, but having dialogue was progress. Rather than seeking clarification, the younger Marine instead persisted past the remark. I'm certain that we will pass any trial placed before us with a satisfactory result. Over the course of our brief campaign, we have become adept at applying the teachings of the Codex Astartes. Though, should we not have the technology for Primaris recruits installed within your facilities first? Drake Talon halted abruptly, staggering the captain's stride. When he turned around to finally look at him, a barely contained fury seemed to fester under his face. That is when he asked,
What do you hate most, Primaris?
a perplexing question.
Enemies of the God Emperor of mankind. Enemies of mankind. What else could you hate more than that? Right?
That momentarily gave Lauzar pause. Despite the confusion, he answered firmly, All who stand against the Emperor, my lord. Victor studied him
Simple, easy, concise, understandable.
for a scant few heartbeats, his seemingly disapproving grimace not faltering, after which he resumed his egress from the meeting.
I'll have serfs move your technology and equipment to the scales of penance, the newest ship we acquired in this system. The rest of you are to report as previously instructed.
None of this matched his or his brother's expectations. Compared to all of their cousins' departures, this adoption lacked any familial air.
Custodian, please come back. Colarian, please come back. I'm scared for these guys. I'm scared for the Primaris Marines. Come back and take them, please. Please, they're not going to suit well in this place. Clearly, the Praetor is not interested. He's not entertained. He's not going to entertain the idea of these Primaris Marines. You know, he's even taking the facilities that produce Primaris Marines onto a different ship and not keeping it on his capital ship. No. Please take them back. Go home, guys. Go home. Go back to Mars. You know, find another chapter that will accept you guys. Or maybe that's not possible. I don't know if that's possible. I'm not sure. You know, but yeah, this is scary. I don't want to lie to you. This is very worrisome.
The testing they were to undertake did not make things any better. Under the pretext of being inducted into the chapter's traditions, they would undergo training. Barely anything conventional for Astartes, save for hand-to-hand combat, the one field in which they would perform somewhat satisfactorily, mainly due to their physical prowess over the other brothers, rather than other qualities. Forge mastery was their next most common tuition. Having the blood of Vulcan in their veins gave them a degree of aptitude when it came to picking the skills of a smith up, but it was not the same as combat, their efforts never truly matching the results of the Drakken's original warriors, an inadequacy that their firstborn kin never failed to point out. Eventually, the realization that it had not been just the Praetor set in. Not a single of their brethren treated them without some undercurrent of malady.
Yeah, nobody here likes them. Oh my gosh. And they haven't done anything. They just arrived. They just arrived. They're so excited to be with you guys, but you guys of the Drakken Harbingers, you're probably like, these people are here to replace us. How can we love them? Yeah, probably they're thinking that way. I'm not sure. But yeah, this is just... it's heartbreaking. Colarian, please come back.
Cold, in some cases spiteful, appearing dead set on rousing the Primaris' ire. The scales of penance, which they were told.
The scales of penance. So this is the ship they've been given, where all the Primaris Marines are to be stationed. They're not going to mingle with any of the other Astartes in the chapter, you know. This is where they're just going to be confined. Like there's some sort of plague that needs to be quarantined on one ship.
Would be their host ship was a mere sword frigate. None of it made sense, as it matched absolutely nothing from the records Lauzar's host had studied about the Harbingers. Over the months, a few of them admitted to him that once or twice they had wondered whether they had been given to the wrong chapter. A sentiment the captain labored to quash, still believing that if they worked hard enough, they would eventually be accepted as equal brothers.
I mean, it's possible that you guys were given to the wrong chapter. It's possible.
Strangest of all, however, was the command for them all to sleep, almost as regularly as the mortal crew. It was baffling, given how Astartes had no need to do so. All the while, in both their waking and slumbering hours, their minds would be monitored by the chapter's librarians. He did not understand the purpose of it. All of his men were pure of mind and soul. Or was the behavior towards them meant to be a test of cohesion, the progress of which was tracked by the psychically gifted brothers?
Yeah, it might be some sort of test, just to see whether you guys can truly be trustworthy.
Such considerations came too late to him, as a new engagement would find them before answers did. Half a year since their first meeting, and being sequestered away from the greater whole of the fleet, the supposedly united Drakken Harbingers chapter found itself above a world under invasion from the servants of the great enemy. Finally, a chance for the Primaris to prove themselves to their brothers via first-hand experience and display their prowess.
Servants of the great enemy, Chaos? Okay.
Were the thoughts crystallizing in the 300's minds, before being shattered by the Praetor appointing 3 firstborn recruits that had been recently elevated into full battle brothers to each helm one of their new companies. That had been a step too far, which would have likely boiled over into something ugly if Lauzar did not voice an objection to it. You cannot be serious, Lord Praetor.
What rouses you to defy the order?
It is beyond reason. We have been made to captain our companies and have done so in the years before being united with you. Why would you have us be commanded by novices? Like every other rare meeting of their eyes, those of Drake Talon displayed a subdued annoyance, underlining his counter-inquiry.
You have been awakened and active for 5 years now, correct?
That is so, the captain replied firmly.
All of my brothers that I have appointed as your commanders have been fighting alongside the chapter for 5 decades.
There's your answer. There's your answer. There is your answer. 5 years versus 5 decades. Who has more experience? Who has more experience here? Lauzar. I understand how you feel. I understand that, you see yourself as a captain. You have the right and responsibility to lead your Astartes. And, you don't think anyone should supersede you, especially someone who has just graduated, if I can say that, into becoming a fully fledged Astartes of the Drakken Harbingers. I understand. However, the experience speaks for itself. The experience speaks for itself.
Victor shot back.
They are as much your seniors as I am theirs. In this battle, their prowess as leaders will be put to the test, alongside your men's ability to fight together with us. And this decision is final.
He then broke off the dialogue, likely with the intention to prepare for deployment. Rather than anything resembling encouragement, Lauzar was left with a sensation of defeat. All of this humiliation had not been what he or his brothers had trained for. In that instant, his own frustration managed to sunder a crack through his composure, letting loose one last plea for reality to adjust itself as it was meant to be. My lord, I implore you to reconsider. The Codex Astartes would not approve of such an action. Dead silence stole the air, akin to their first meeting. Reversing his egress, the Draken walked back to the Primaris. Perhaps some kind of note was struck with that sentiment, a notion that the younger Marine did not expect to be right about, at least not in the sense that revealed itself when the Praetor approached within a mortal's arm length from him, bearing a more notably furious visage.
Take a good view of me, Primaris. Do I look like a son of Gilliman?
Uncertain, Lauzar uttered with some hesitation, No, you are not, Lord Praetor.
Then cease referencing that book to me!
The older Marine barked.
You will do as you are told, not as you have read. Have I made myself clear?
For some reason...
Yeah, crystal. Crystal. You made yourself crystal clear. Ooh.
No further protest could force itself out of him. In its place, a feeling of submission to the inevitable welled, surfacing only in a single word. Compliance.
I'm not sure about the Adeptus, the book. I'm not entirely sure about, what is written in the Codex Astartes about this entire situation. I'm not sure. I have no clue. I'm just saying, I understand what the Praetor is trying to do here in terms of those Astartes who have more experience compared to the Primaris. They should be the ones who are going to be tested in their leadership, responsibility and role as they lead the Primaris, who are still inexperienced. They are still young. They've only been active for 5 years. They still need to truly understand and acclimatize to the 41st millennium. Unlike those who have gone through the ranks, rising up through the ranks within the Drakken Harbingers to become where they are right now. You know, they've experienced everything. They are well seasoned in terms of conflict and war against humanity's enemies. They understand the battlefield far better than the Primaris Marines. So I understand what the Praetor is trying to do here. Yeah, but in terms of Captain Lauzar, I think he just needs to humble himself just a bit, you know, and just take a step back. Let them get used to you guys. It will take time. You guys live for a very long time, like what, 1,000 years, if it's possible for an Astartes to live for that long. Yeah, so you have a lot of time to get acclimatized, to get used to them, for them to get used to you, you know, and through battle, you guys will get closer and closer together, and you will have that cohesive, trusting bondship like other chapters out there in the galaxy. Yes, it may not be like your other brothers who've left for their chapters and they've just been immediately accepted into those chapters. With the Drakken Harbingers, it seems like it will take some time. It will take some time for them to trust you guys. It will take some time for them to love you guys as, you know, their kin and their battle brothers. It will take time, but it will happen eventually. You just need to be extremely patient and try to understand the leadership decisions made by the Praetor and all the other high officials within the chapter. Yeah. Like I said before, the Codex Astartes, some chapters follow it to the rule, to the book, you know. Some chapters bend it a bit. Some chapters just throw it out of the window and do what they want. So yeah, this is something that he has to understand, that the world out here in the galaxy is not the same like how it was when he was on Mars, and how he was taught, how he was made to be an obedient Astartes. It's not like that in the galaxy. You know, you gotta adapt to survive. You gotta change the Codex Astartes to suit the realities of the day. Yeah.
Any semblance of doubt would be discarded in the coming battles. Treasonous mortals, Xenos, pirates, but the caliber of foes they had faced at the start of the Indomitus Crusade simply paled in comparison to the fallen Astartes. It was plain to see that Lauzar and his host surpassed the average Marine untouched by chaos when it came to physical attributes, but in the arena of experience they were clearly outmatched. A kernel of regret formed in his mind for opposing the restructuring of their command. Their appointed Drakken brothers, despite being newly ascended from their status as scouts, had survived enough engagements against this type of foe to allow the Primaris host under their orders to stand up to the traitor's vile trickery. Even so, he lost brothers. Brothers that he would avenge as his squad surged to pursue the Chaos Warband's Dark Apostle. Brother Varanir, the captain voxed their assigned leader upon beheading the last Black Legionary from
Brother Varanir. Okay.
the squad that had attempted to halt their advance. We have cornered the target in one of the heretics' held complexes. Good work, came the response. My squad and I are making haste to your position. Try to contain any escape attempts until we reach you. A grimace formed under Lauzar's helmet at those words. Sir, he firmly retorted, all of the scum guarding the premises have been dispatched. He is alone in the building and may be attempting to escape via warpish means. We can storm in and end the traitor now. Negative. Varanir shot him down. You lack the necessary skills to directly confront that breed of traitor. I have hailed the Praetor. You are to await my and his squad's arrival within the next 3 minutes. You are not to engage the witch until then. Understood? Yet further demeaning. What sin had he and his brothers committed to have their parent chapter treat them with such contempt?
But I don't understand this part right here, Captain Lauzar. Do you not understand what he's telling you right now? Do you not understand what he's telling you? This is not out of contempt or any form of, hatred towards you or the Primaris. He is just simply telling you, you are not capable or experienced enough to deal with this sort of threat. Especially when it's a psyker, witch or wizard who is extremely powerful. You are not equipped. You need backup. Especially when you're dealing with a psyker. Especially when you're dealing with a psyker that is, chaos fueled. The more the merrier. If it's just you, Captain Lauza and your squad, it's not enough. You're going to need backup. So listen to this brother Veneer. He has a point here. Wait for backup. Don't go in alone.
Even after displaying their prowess firsthand against the traitorous Astartes, they were still treated in such a humiliating way.
I honestly don't understand how this is humiliating. These are lessons that you need to be taught so that you understand when you are alone, when you are leading your own missions, and how things are done in the Drakken Harbingers. They don't do things alone. They seem to be teaming up with as many of their own Astartes as possible to quell a particular threat. Learn. Don't let your pride get in the way of you understanding the Drakken Harbingers and how they operate. Just because you're Primaris Marine does not mean you're impervious to death. You've just seen some of your own brothers die, Captain.
He could see no justice in this. A blinding flash through the windows of the building they had cornered broke his train of thought. Gritting his teeth, Lauzar was overwhelmed by a desire to prove their elders wrong. The heretic may be attempting to escape via sorcery. We're putting an end to him now.
No! Do not advance without reinforcements! Tech Marine, bring me that Raptor's jump pack! Primaris, hold your position! Duke!
Was all Varanir could get through before the captain cut the Vox feed and motioned for his squad to advance. None of them attempted to object to his decision, inclining him to believe that they thought the same as him. Breaking in was no issue, now that the Kerr's guards were slain. In short order, the squad narrowed their noose formation around the hall where the Dark Apostle performed some fiendish ritual, causing the very air to stir with unnatural ripples. With a single invisible command hidden in their Vox, the 8 Primaris surged as one, their aim locked on the heretic and their fingers milliseconds from squeezing their triggers. However, in the instant their first bootstep touched the desecrated floor, the word-bearer's hand collapsed itself into a fist, freezing their bodies in place with a rush of etheric wind. Their struggling to break free from this entrapment would be momentarily distracted by the heathen chuckling as he turned to face them.
But you see now. Do you see the folly of your arrogance?
My. If it isn't the little lambs I expected, volunteering for the slaughter.
It's over for you, traitor!
Lauzar spat back at him.
Even if we are to fall, the might of the Drakken Harbingers is on its way to crush you. You cannot escape.
Escape? My dear cousins, I'm afraid you've got it all wrong.
He walked around in front of all of them, flashing a smug, toothy grin as his elucidation continued.
All of the carnage we have unleashed upon this planet, and that you have done upon my followers, has been in service to my main goal, gifting the world to the gods. A gesture on the verge of completion.
His free hand reintroduced the rippling reality in the room's center.
With sufficient fuel accumulated, I just needed a suitable sacrifice to make the first tear for the Neverborn to grace us with their presence. A vision of which the Changer of Ways has blessed me with. We are just missing one.
With those final words, the bastard's other hand shot up and clenched into another fist, immobilizing another figure just as it crashed through the window pane high up on the hall.
Since this warlock is a word bearer, aren't word bearers chaos undivided? Or do they follow a particular chaos god? I'm wondering.
Glancing as much as his immobilized state could allow, revealed to the captain that the newly entered was Brother Varanir, bearing a hastily modified jump pack.
Release me, filth! Your disgusting being will be purged in Vulcan's fire!
the Draken roared in his own struggle. But that earned him nothing more than further mockery from Lorgar's pest, who again addressed Lauzar.
Rivers of blood for the Blood God. 9 fresh offerings for the Architect of Fate. And given that one's explosive emotion, cutting you all up as he watches should be a suitable delicacy for the prince, while the time taken to accomplish it will please grandfather.
Okay, so you are worshipping, as Chaos Undivided. Okay.
Pain ravaged the captain's mind. Almost less so because of his capture, but predominantly from the knowledge that Varanir likely had no love to spare for them. Instead of hatred, he would probably be relieved to see them perish. Before any further thought could be processed on the matter, both the Primaris and their captor's attention would be stolen by a sudden crack of stone.
What?
The word-bearer disbelieved as all of them saw the Harbinger was no longer in the witch's grasp and had fallen to his knee from the air, cracking the floor.
How? You should not be able to break the warp's grasp!
Giving only a hateful growl in response, Varanir ignited the jump pack and surged forward. In a desperate motion, the heretic turned both of his hands in his direction, summoning more of the Empyrean from what Lauzar could feel, but it was in vain, as the fiery warrior rammed into him, grasping his waist and carrying them both through the hall's wall.
Is Brother Varanir a psyker? Is he a librarian? Or is he wearing some sort of armor that negates psychic, or should I say, psyker abilities of some sort? Is it like a blank suit of armor, or what?
Heartbeats after their eviction, the other Astartes regained control of themselves, momentarily stumbling forward from their initially halted momentum. Nothing short of divine intervention could have brought this on, the captain thought, as the rippling in the air ceased and reality reasserted itself. It was not a sight they could enjoy for long, though. Wordlessly, the full squad egressed post-haste, and while expecting victory over the traitor, they were not prepared for the sight that greeted them. Upon the broken street, Varanir pinned down the Dark Apostle's presumed corpse, as the only movement it made were individual twitches, roused by the Drakken astride him's punches into its face.
Damn.
Approaching closer revealed that the heretic had no remaining head at this point, with the Harbinger unceasingly pounding bloody bone mulch deeper into the ground. The Primaris exchanged a glance between each other, then returned to observing their brother, with the squad's apothecary stepping ahead of them and calling out,
Brother, you can stop. He is dead."
Absolutely no reaction, simply continuing with the beating. This detail made the rest of the squad grow weary, tightening the grips on their weapons. Their paler brother neared further and spoke in a firmer tone.
"Varanir, compose yourself. That is enough."
Then grabbed the firstborn's ascending arm by the wrist and attempted to pull him up on his feet.
What is going on here with Brother Varanir? Is he consumed by Khorne? By anger, by fury, and thus Khorne has now infiltrated his mind in some sort of way?
Sharply spinning with the motion, the Drakken's other hand clenched into a fist, which struck the apothecary's head, cracking open his helmet and sending him to the ground.
Oh my gosh!
In the very next heartbeat and the thunder of a shot, Varanir himself collapsed backwards, with half of his head exploding due to Lauzar's pistol sending a bolt through his eyelids.
What the hell is going on here? Man, this just turned upside down in less than 3 seconds.
Time seemed to slow to a crawl before one of the squad leapt to their fallen and another shouted,
"What just happened?"
"He is dead, neck broken and skull shattered," reported the examiner of the apothecary. Before their captain's mind could finish processing the situation that had transpired, they were interrupted by the nearby landing of a Thunderhawk. Briskly disembarking it were Victor, the 2 other Astartes delegated to lead the Primaris companies, their assigned squads, and one final brother, bearing the marks of veterancy, who reached to unsheath the power sword at his hip. In the blink of an eye, only an inch of the blade would taste the air as his master seized his wrist.
Man, this is a mess. This is just a big mess. But you guys have got cameras in your sensory eyes, right? You have cameras and they record everything. So if they don't believe you guys, just tell them to watch the recordings from our camera eyes, and they will see, they will understand that, you know, there was something going on with Brother Veneer. He is the one who first killed the apothecary, and Captain Lauza was just, you know, trying to stop Brother Veneer. It's unfortunate that he had to shoot him in the face, but, you know, this is complicated. This is very complicated.
With eyes permanently affixed to Lauzar, the champion protested grimly.
I saved him from the invasion of his world. I raised him into our brotherhood. By Vulcan's grace, Lord Praetor, let me avenge him.
No,
Came Drake Talon's cutting retort.
we already strike the line of powerful interests, brother. Do not yield to the fire now, and let me handle it.
Grudgingly, the warrior struggled against his superior's grip for a couple of moments, before relinquishing his weapon's shaft and stepping back. Victor, in turn, walked past the still stunned squad and knelt next to the fallen firstborn, carefully removing his helmet to look down upon what was left of his face. Thoroughly stupefied, the captain briefly shook his head, then turned to address the chaptermaster.
Lord Praetor, something was wrong with Varanir. He kept pointlessly striking this expired traitor, then assaulted and killed our apothecary when he tried to restrain him. He acted as if possessed. Maybe the heretical gem pack he obtained to reach us...
It did not.
Victor interjected, closing his brother's remaining eye.
He was overtaken by the abyssal hate.
He was overtaken by the abyssal hate. Okay. What is the abyssal hate?
What I failed to grasp is what a duty spurred it on.
Blinking in shock under his helmet, the captain finally allowed his fury to vent at Drake Talon.
What is that supposed to mean? Abyssal hate? Is it some matter of gene flaw? Why were none of us told of it?
Because you should have known about it if you were truly one of us!
Victor snapped back at him. His statement brought no illumination to the Primaris, instigating him to continue.
So this genetic abnormality only exists in the firstborn Astartes and not in the Primaris. And this abyssal hate also kind of sounds like the Blood Angels. The Blood Angels and their Black Rage. Yeah. Ooh, okay.
Your words make no sense, brother!
I am not your brother!
The Praetor barked, standing up and storming up to Lauzar.
You have nothing in common with our legion! No memory of kith or kin! No dreams allowing you to relive the darkest moments of our ancestors! And no hatred strong enough to terrify the warp!
Definitely, it's like the Black Rage. You know, how that the psychic imprint from the death of Sanguinius has imprinted on all Blood Angels from the present day to all, you know, to the far future. Their gene seed has been altered, and thus any Blood Angel that exists and they succumb to the Black Rage, they just go into this berserk mode that's unbeatable, that's just crazy, until whatever's in front of them has been destroyed. That could also include their own allies, their own brothers, their own Astarte Blood Angel brothers. It's possible that they could just kill anyone in front of them, including their own brothers. So, yeah, I guess the abyssal hate is something similar, but in terms of Vulcan's, sired Astartes. Yeah.
At last, realization arrived. That is what the librarians had been monitoring his host for all this time. And it was followed by a wound deeper than one weapon could have delivered.
Our only relation is that you are an insult to our honor and service. We and all other true Astartes have given our blood and souls for the Imperium since before the arch-traitor's rebellion.
But he says the true Astartes. True, meaning he doesn't see you guys as true Astartes. So it's not just that you don't have the abyssal hate in you or this genetic abnormality. He just does not see you guys as worthy Astartes soldiers. He just doesn't see it.
And now you, tools of the Late One and his pet Magos, daring to profanely claim to have improved upon the Emperor's work, seek to replace us. Just like with Terra's siege, his involvement always comes late, and when the most loyal of servants are at their lowest, just so that he can exert his will over them.
It's not his fault that he came to the siege of Terra late. You know, he's been trying. He's been trying to get there as soon as possible. But he had to deal with his brothers. He had to deal with other chaos interests before he was even able to return to Terra. So we can't really blame Rubute Gilliman for coming late. And besides, he had a backup plan. If Terra fell, Imperium Secundus would be the replacement. But I guess you guys just don't know anything about that.
Lord Praetor, I assure you nothing of the sort was intended. Lord Gilliman's orders
Cost my lineage our family, our home, and now a brother that I would not have to inter into the Venganza scripts had he had actual brothers with him.
Damn.
We are the Fireborn Legion, not one of Robute's chapters, let alone his sons. His orders have no place among us. And as you are no sons of Vulcan, neither do you.
Sharp cold penetrated down the length of his spine.
This I did not expect. A chapter that views a Primarch in contempt like this. A Primarch. Not just that he's Rubute Gilliman, but a Primarch. You know. Astartes are supposed to revere Primarchs. They're supposed to be in love with Primarchs. No matter who it may be. You know, there should be some certain level of respect or degree of respect and you know, an honor. But it seems that with the Praetor here, he doesn't give a rat's ass about... Oh, sorry, that's right. But yeah, he doesn't give a damn about this Primarch. He really does not give a damn about Rubute Gilliman. He does not recognize his authority as the supreme leader and head of state of the Imperium of Man. I wonder how many other chapters also viewed, you know, Rubute Gilliman in the same sort of light, where they don't necessarily respect him, they don't like him, you know, they don't see him as their Primarch because, you know, they belong to a chapter that had a different Primarch, you know. I wonder how many other Astartes chapters also view or have the same views like the Drakken Harbingers. Wow.
A sensation Lauzar would one day presume assaulted the rest of his brothers as well. But at the moment of its attack, he could only utter, "Victor, please, do not do this. We have strived so much to finally be with our parent chapter."
It does not exist here.
Came the death knell of their dream.
The Drakken Harbingers reject you and your whole misbegotten kind. Assemble all of your host, take the scales of penance along with your blasphemous technology, and be gone from my sight. Never again seek us out.
Shattering silence briefly reigned as the captain's mind made one final desperate protest. "We cannot simply leave. Where are we to go?"
Go back to Terra. Go back to Terra. Maybe the custodians... Maybe Kolarian will help you. Kolarian, please help them. Please help these Primaris Marines. I mean, honestly, this is sad. This is so sad. They were just kicked out. Oh man. Nah, you guys, you gotta return to Terra. Get back to Terra, maybe join another organization. Maybe not a chapter, but just join another organization that requires Astartes. Inquisitors require Astartes, they could probably take you guys in, or join the Black Shields, if it's possible. Or become your own special forces of Primaris Marines. Call yourselves under a different name. Paint, get a logo for your own chapter. Although you don't have enough Astartes to constitute a chapter, but do something for the Imperium of Man, for mankind. Don't descend into chaos.
Which was put down in short order.
I cannot. Flee to Gilliman and plead for him to smite us down, just to give you our skin to wear if you so choose. Or try your luck with the supposed salamanders that have occupied Nocturne.
Supposed salamanders. Oh wow, okay, so the Drakken Harbingers also have an issue with the salamanders. That's their parent, legion. That's where they all come from, and yet they have an issue with the parent legion. Interesting.
They have been infested by ultramarines painted green long before your existence. But I will endure you in my presence no longer. Leave.
Left with no more fight on the matter, Lauzar's head hung low. Maglocking his weapons to his armor, he clanged one fist over his chest in acknowledgement, then turned to march towards the Thunderhawk. Initially hesitant, the rest of the Primaris mirrored his grim quiet and boarded the gunship, carrying their fallen apothecary and taking off towards the frigate in orbit. Drake Talon followed their ascent until one of his warriors inquired,
"Was advised to just let them go, my lord. What if they do indeed get the late ones might to bear down on us?"
Then we shall die with honor. Better we remain true to the Lord of Drakes than allow ourselves to be stolen by the Macragian.
A set of shadows caught by his side glance prompted him to shift his attention, confirming that someone else had observed the entire exchange. Without a shred of hesitation, the Praetor marched closer to their overseers, stopping just under the ridge they had stationed themselves upon, and uttered,
The only orders we acknowledge are those of Vulcan and the Emperor.
The only orders we acknowledge are those of Vulcan and the Emperor. The Emperor is the last word. The Emperor has designated Rubute Gilliman to be regent of the Imperium of Man. He is your commanding officer. He is your head of state until the Emperor returns. You've stated it yourself, the only orders we acknowledge are those of Vulcan and the Emperor. I mean, there's no way of confusing this in any way. There's no way of confusing this. If this is a project that is spearheaded by Rubute Gilliman, and it has the blessings of the Emperor himself, what are you doing? What are you doing chasing away the Primaris? What are you doing showing such contempt to such a valuable resource to your chapter? What are you doing? Yes, they might not have the genetic abnormality that the rest of the chapter has in terms of the abyssal hate. But orders are orders. And the orders come from Rubute Gilliman, who has been charged by the Emperor. We need more custodians. We need more custodians. These people are being governed by their emotions. These people are compromised.
Then came down to one knee, as did all of the Drakken Harbingers present, before the looming Inquisitor.
I hope that you enjoyed this platter of delving jewels.
I know this was very entertaining, very interesting. And then that Inquisitor is definitely Samuel Ogg, right? Of the Ordo Hereticus. Yeah.
For next time, we're going back to something spooky and rather stinky. Courtesy of Overanalyze This. Look forward to it and leave any suggestions and topics that you'd like to see narratively explored in the comments below. Довиждане.
Oh, alright guys, that is it with rejecting change, honor over submission, Warhammer 40k lore exploration made on the Dasrat YouTube channel, requested by Heldrake77777. Yeah, wow, the Drakken Harbingers, they are loyal to the Imperium of Man to a certain extent. They are more loyal to their Primarch Vulcan and to the Emperor. However, in terms of the Emperor, it's still very questionable. How loyal are they to the Emperor? Because this is the same situation with other legions and Astartes, I should say, in general, when it came to their loyalty to the Emperor and the loyalty to the Primarchs that they are led by. Because in the first instance, their loyalty should be first to the Emperor of mankind, above all, even above their Primarchs. But for some reason, there's this disconnect where the Astartes are far more loyal to their Primarchs and to their own interests more to the Emperor of mankind. It seems like the Emperor of mankind is an afterthought. It's the last thing that they're loyal to, and not the first thing that they're loyal to. Because if this chapter, the Drakken Harbingers, were loyal to the Emperor, they would obey the commands without question. Even if it comes from a Primarch that is not their gene sire, in terms of Roboute Guilliman. But Roboute Guilliman has been given the authority and the blessings by the Emperor of mankind himself. So anything that Roboute Guilliman is sequestering or ordering to be made or to be designated or constructed, it is the will of the Emperor. So really, the Drakken Harbingers, they are following their own endeavors. They are following their own ambitions and missions, and clearly the Inquisitor, or should I say the Inquisition, is shielding them, is protecting them, is giving them that space to do whatever they want. Because the Inquisitor should have been the first one to say, no, you cannot kick them out. This was an order from the voice of the Emperor, a custodian. It doesn't get any closer than that in terms of getting the authority of the Imperium of Man. It doesn't get any higher than a custodian. And the Inquisitor is here, he's watching all of this happen, and he's allowing it to happen. That means this Inquisitor is protecting the Drakken Harbingers. For what? I don't know. I don't know the reason. And this genetic abnormality in terms of the abyssal hate, I don't know if this is a threat to the continuation of the chapter. Because it's an abnormality, maybe they might see it as an abomination, in terms of what has happened to the chapter, and they would have to be expunged. I'm not entirely sure, because also the black hate, or black rage, I should say, that's in the Blood Angels, it's also been kept as a secret. Like, not other chapters and the Imperium of Man at large don't really know about the Black Rage. So maybe it's the same situation here with the Drakken Harbingers, where the rest of the galaxy don't know about the abyssal hate. However, it seems that this Inquisitor does know about the abyssal hate. And yeah, for some reason, this Inquisitor is protecting them. Is protecting this chapter. And this chapter has the audacity, has the gall, especially being led by the Praetor. His tone of voice, his tone of attitude in terms of, talking with a custodian was very questionable. Very questionable. And now, with this result of him kicking out the Primaris Marines from his chapter, is also very clearly telling that these guys are protected by higher powers within the Imperium of Man, and they cannot be touched. Does Rubute Gilliman know about this chapter? I don't know. Does any other office within the Imperium of Man know about this chapter? I don't know. But clearly, this Inquisitor, Samuel Ogg, is willing to protect them. I think this is the Inquisitor's own private army. You know, these Astartes. I think they're his private army, and, you know, he will do anything that's necessary to protect his resource. A very important resource. Yeah. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Desrat, for the story. It was really, really entertaining, enjoyable, and yeah, hopefully there can be more from the Drakken Harbingers. Well, there is going to be more in the Homebrew of the Week, episode 284, made on the 40k Theories YouTube channel. That's coming next. So yeah, you'll see the card available somewhere on the sides here if you guys want to go onto it. But before that, I just want to say, remember, if you want to check out the original video as well as Desrat's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. If you like my reaction, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos. And thanks again to HalDrake77777 for the request. It's been really good. And that's it. Alright guys, see you in Homebrew of the Week 284 Drakken Harbingers 40k Theories next. Okay, bye bye.